Do you struggle with frequent energy crashes throughout the day? Do you have high blood pressure or skin tags? These are all signs of insulin resistance. Chronically high insulin levels lead to insulin resistance, which will eventually progress to type 2 diabetes. And you can be insulin resistant even if your fasting blood sugar is currently normal. But don't worry. By making smart food choices, you can improve insulin sensitivity, reverse insulin resistance, and regain your health. And we're going to talk about exactly what those foods are in today's video. Now, before we get into it, let's have a quick crash course. Let's talk about what insulin resistance is and what causes it, because this will help us to understand what foods we should be eating. Imagine the cells in your body as tiny mailboxes, and insulin as the mail carrier. When you eat, blood sugar levels rise, and the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin acts like a key, unlocking your cells and allowing them to take in the sugar. But what happens when the mailboxes get overloaded? That's insulin resistance. Your cells become resistant to insulin's key, they don't take in the sugar as they should, and the body releases more insulin as a result. Now, the excess insulin that's released, this allows your body to control your blood sugar for a while, but there becomes a point where it can't keep up anymore. This is when your blood sugar starts to rise and you're going to be diagnosed with prediabetes and eventually type 2 diabetes. The good news is we can reverse and prevent insulin resistance by keeping our insulin levels low. Now, it's important to remember that even if your fasting blood sugar is currently normal, if you are experiencing the symptoms of insulin resistance, it's likely that you are. Insulin resistance begins years before fasting blood sugar starts to rise, and this is why it often gets missed. Healthcare practitioners rarely test fasting insulin. They only focus on glucose. You can ask your doctor to test your fasting insulin, and most people who do this are shocked by the result. Their insulin is high, even though their fasting blood sugar is normal. Now, if your doctor isn't willing to test your insulin, a lot of them aren't because it's often not covered by insurance. There is one company that offers an at-home test. Sowell Health's Weight Biology Kit tests fasting insulin and other key biomarkers of metabolic health. This test can tell you if you're insulin resistant. You take your sample, send the kit back, and within just a few days, your results are physician reviewed and you receive a report with next steps you can take. I'll put the link to check it out in the description box down below, and you can use code KAIT10 to save 10% off this test. And I want to reiterate that this is a great option for anyone who's having trouble getting their doctor to test their insulin. But back to what causes insulin resistance and how that ties in with the food we eat. So because insulin resistance is caused by high insulin levels, the key to reversing it is keeping our insulin levels low. When you keep your insulin low, your cells become more sensitive to it once again. You might be familiar with the glycemic index, which ranks foods based on their blood sugar impact. And this can be a good starting guide of what foods you should be eating, because generally, if foods have a low glycemic response, their insulin response is also low, and vice versa. There are a few exceptions to this though, and we'll get to those as we go through the video. So let's start out with healthy fats you should be eating. Butter, ghee, olive oil, coconut oil, tallow, lard, sour cream, and heavy cream are all good options. These are healthy fats that have a minimal impact on our insulin levels. And the same goes for fatty fruits such as avocados and olives. And let's not forget about eggs. And I'm talking about the whole egg. These are a low insulin food with high nutritional value. Another food that's great for reversing insulin resistance is cheese. I'm talking cheddar, blue cheese, and Parmesan, to name a few. Because cheese is very low in carbohydrates and higher in protein and fat, there's minimal insulin needed to process it. Nuts can also be a good option, with some of my favorites being macadamias, walnuts, and pecan. All are low carb and low insulin. Moving on to meat and seafood, you can happily enjoy bacon, pork, salmon, beef, mackerel, sardines, herring, anchovies, chicken, turkey, and duck. Again, animal protein is great because it is very, very low in carbs, if it contains any carbs at all, and it's high in protein, and depending on the cut, contains a decent amount of fat as well, which you don't want to skip out on. And finally, let's talk about some veggies. Broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, garlic, onions, green beans, cucumber, zucchini, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and mushrooms are all fantastic choices. Basically, any non-starchy vegetable is great. And if you want to include some fruit, low sugar fruit are best. This includes berries and avocados and olives, which we spoke about earlier. Anyways, guys, this is just a really quick video today highlighting some of the foods you can eat that can help you to reverse insulin resistance. Let me know which of these foods is your favorite in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.